Why do companies rebrand? Is what this is all about. And the reason I mention it is because I've just rebranded. As you probably noticed, the logo in the corner is slightly different. So let's see if this works. No, hang on a minute. There we go. Right then. So let's start at the very beginning. So this is when I started my business in 2015. I had a logo that looked like that. And I had spent 25 years before that working for other people, and I set up on my own. And I wanted a little personalized logo for me. And the idea behind this logo is kind of that I wanted to do a little bit like a signature. So it kind of does. And also that particular style was quite popular in back in 2015. Oh, that's the wrong way. That's interesting. Okay. Then 4 years later, I rebranded slightly because my business had changed quite significantly, and I was doing a lot more marketing than I had anticipated when I started. In fact, I was probably doing 65 to 70% marketing compared to what I thought would be 100% design. So I had to redesign the logo slightly to make it a little bit more business-like, and also to include the strapline marketing and design, because I hadn't mentioned marketing in the previous logo. However, come to 2023 and I've got a brand new logo and it looks completely different. And it looks completely different because my business is completely different. However, I'm going to come into that a bit more later. But before we go into that, let's just cover a few basics. I've done the talk before about the difference between a logo and a brand. I'm just going to quickly recap. What is a logo? It is an easily recognizable graphic symbol which is used to identify an organization, a product, or a service, and it usually designates some sort of ownership. Whereas a brand is the idea or image that people have in their minds when they think about your product or company or service. So you can see the pictures at the bottom there. The Apple logo is a logo, but the branding is much wider, and it's the visual branding, at least, is the way that Apple communicates about itself. My favorite definition of what a brand is comes from Jeff Bezos from Amazon, who says your brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. So that kind of explains exactly why a brand is an image in people's heads. So how do you control what's in people's heads? That's the aim of branding, really, is to try and make people think about you in a certain way. Well, you have a brand strategy. Now, big old corporations love a brand strategy, but small businesses can have them too. The basic elements of brand strategy, or what it does, is so it's a comprehensive plan that defines exactly how a company presents itself to its target audience and how it distinguishes itself from its competitors, and how it creates lasting and meaningful connections with their customers. And then a brand strategy will contain a whole load of different things. Some of them are, so you'll identify your target audience, you'll identify your value proposition, what it is you actually offer and what makes you unique. You'll talk about, excuse me, your tone of voice, how you talk to people. Brand positioning is where your company sits within the marketplace of your competitors. Your brand identity, that's the visual identity, which I get involved with. Brand messaging is what you actually say. And consistency guidelines are kind of the core of a brand strategy, because they're like an instruction book to tell other people how to build things that match your brand. And those bottom four things are what I get involved with as a graphic designer whenever I do branding work for people. Why is branding important? Consistency. Branding basically unifies loads of elements: a visual identity, messaging, customer experience. And the reason consistency is important because it enhances recognition, trust, and customer loyalty, especially trust. People used to say people buy from people they like, but that's not true. People buy from people they trust. They trust to actually do a good job. Trust comes from consistency, and consistency comes from branding. So if you're a business and you're thinking, do I need a rebrand? Well, there are some signs that you might need to think about a rebrand. So one, your logo or your visual style's a bit out of date. Possibly the products aren't selling very well. Maybe your target audience has changed, or your impression of them has changed. Maybe your business has changed, or it's grown, or it's evolved, or it's got bigger or smaller. Maybe you're suffering from a lack of differentiation, which means that you don't stand out in the market from your competitors at all. Maybe you've been bought out, or you've been merged or acquired by another company. And maybe you're suffering from reputational damage or negative perceptions. Think Twitter, for example. the ones I've highlighted there are the reasons why I've rebranded. My logo is a little out of date, my audience has changed, and my business has changed. So good reasons to have a rebrand. So let's just talk a little bit more about my rebrand. So as I said, my logo is a bit out of date. Target audience, or my perception of my target audience, has changed. I think that's what it is. And since the second rebrand in 2019, I used to offer 12 services. I now offer 3. So my business has evolved and changed, and I've dropped a lot of services. In particular, I've dropped the marketing services. I wanted to look more professional. I wanted to look a little bit less personal. And I was trying to make people think of particular keywords, such as skill, attention to detail, confidence, reliability, and friendliness, because I'm a friendly chap. These are the visual elements that a branding exercise will look at, and there are lots more, I should imagine, but these are the ones that I've looked at from my business. I won't go through all of those, but you get the general idea. Let's just talk about a couple of them. So the logo. For the first time, I've now got a overall logo, and I've got 3 sub-logos. The sub-logos are basically the 3 services I offer: design and print, logos and branding, website design. And they each have their own sub-logo. There's a term in marketing, well, there's 2 terms in marketing. One's called a house of brands. Another one is a branded house. A house of brands is like Unilever. Unilever have like millions of well-known supermarket brands, but none of them carry the Unilever logo. They all carry their own logo. That's a house of brands. One is a branded house, a bit like Virgin. Everything Virgin does has the Virgin logo on it. Keefomatic has the Keefomatic logo on all its services now. I've also got a little lookup for keefomatic.com, the website, and I've also got a lookup that just kind of describes the services and includes the logo as well. And I've dropped my positioning statement, which was marketing and design, because as I said, I don't offer marketing as a standalone service anymore. I've changed my color palette. Now, I should have really shown you what the old one was, but in case you can't remember it or don't know, it used to be lime green and black. And that was fine, but I did find it eventually limiting, especially when you're talking about multiple services. Everything ended up looking the same. So now I've got a suite of 6 colors plus black, so 7 really. 3 of these colors are specifically for the services. The other ones I kind of use as accent colors on the website. The whole thing is a lot more muted, a little bit less manic, and a bit more sort of subtle than it used to be. I'm a font nerd, and I like fonts, so I chose my fonts particularly carefully. Oxygen Bold for headlines, Source Serif Pro for body copy they're both chosen for legibility over any other reason, because if you ever look at my website, I write, and I write a lot, and I like people to be able to read it. And if you make it more readable, the chances are people will read it, or more likely to read it. So there we go. And both these fonts are widely available as web fonts, which means that the fonts on my website will be exactly the same as the fonts I use for my leaflets and my business cards and my banners and all that sort of stuff. So it's that consistency again. So this is a little snapshot of the website as it looks, and I showed some of you this last week. So yeah, so the 3 colors run through the various sections to designate which section you're in. And I've created some display graphics, which I should be taking to networking meetings. Not all of them, but what this allows me to do now is to concentrate on one particular service. What I used to do when I used to go to networking meetings was have a banner that just basically said that I do loads of stuff. And then I used to stand there and say, I do loads of stuff. And people used to sort of go, oh, and it wasn't really focused enough. So now I can go in and talk about one service only, and I can mix and match it however I want to. So if I want to talk about branding, I'll take the middle one. If I want to talk about something else, I'll take a different one. I've done that one. Right. Well, finally, to round up then, what are the benefits of rebranding? So rebranding helps you to stay relevant and competitive and aligned with your business goals, which I'm very happy to say that rebrand does that for me. It updates your image and your messaging to better resonate with current trends. I don't know a current trend if it bit me, but also the evolving needs of your target audience. And rebranding can generate renewed excitement and interest in your business. And that's certainly true, because I feel a lot more excited about talking about this now. But also, it helps you to engage customers and hopefully lead to sales and more brand loyalty. That's your lot. Thank you for listening. If you've got any questions, if we've got any time, then I'll take some.
Look like this. Awesome. yes, again, another awesome insight there, Keith. And yeah, well, one thing, just on your logo, and I love the backplate that you put on there. What's the is there an inspiration? Is there a story behind that physical square box, that the little slash in the corner?
The box with the
Does that
little
paint a
slice
story
out the
to your
corner.
brand?
Um,
Yes.
it kind of came about from me playing with the typeface, because what I was looking for was a typeface that I could animate. Now, I don't do animation, but I kind of felt like I should do. So one day I'll organize myself and I'll animate my logo. And I wanted the E's and the O's to be completely round so that they would roll, you see. Um, and in messing around with rotating the E's to see whether it would work, I actually decided that I would like my E's to be at a 45-degree angle. So I rotated them. And that 45-degree angle then led to me messing around with other parts of the font. So I've chopped off the tops of the T's and the I's and stuff. And then I chopped the corner of the box off just to see what it would look like. And I liked it. So I thought, right, I'm going to try and just develop this a bit more. And I got it to work. And then I thought, right, that would make a perfect button on the website. And I don't know if you looked at the website, but all the buttons are the same shape. So they've got that corner chopped off, which I'm quite proud of. I have to say, it is a little tiny detail, but I do detail. So yeah, and that was something that I had to go and discover how to do, because it's not something you can do out of the box. Yeah, and it's just a nice little detail that runs through all the graphics, all the pictures, or not all the pictures, but some of the pictures will have the little corner chopped off, and it's just a running theme that goes through everything.
Well, I do love it, and yeah, I had a look when you shared that link last week. Very clean, very fluid. I love the rebranding and the design. Well, one other question. I'm not sure where I've heard this or picked this up, but does the color, when you're choosing logos and branding, color palettes also have a massive representation on your audience at the same time?
Oh,
Am I
color
making that up, or is
theory.
it?
I mean, I'm not actually a big fan of color theory, but color theory is enormous and quite dense. But on a basic entry level, all colors have things that they're associated with. I did another talk a while back where I introduced the beautiful science of semiotics, which is another very boring, dense subject. But basically, what it means is that um, objects all signify something, and that significance is subconscious in most people. So if you see a red sign, red to you automatically means danger, because it kind of does in nature. Blue tends to be more business-like, and it's used in a lot of corporate business logos. And all colors have things associated with them. So part of being a designer is to kind of appreciate that, certain colors mean certain things. If I was to do bright yellow and black, for example, then that's kind of what we use for warning symbols in this country and abroad. So that's maybe not what I'm trying to get over. The colors that I chose for this, I wanted to be more contemporary than what I was using, and I also wanted them to be a little bit less shouty and screamy, because I was using lime green and black, which at the time was quite fashionable when I did it 8 years ago. But things have moved on a bit. I don't need to shout and scream as much as I thought I had to 8 years ago. So yeah, I've toned it down a bit, but it's still basically based on greens. So I kept the green theme going. Green is meant to be quite a calming color. I'm quite a calm kind of guy. I have my moments, but yeah. So yeah, there are definite associations with the various colors. And yeah, as I said, color theory goes on and on and on and on for hours. What you
Mm, good. Thanks, Keith. I think we've got time for another question. If we've got another question out there as well.
Can I ask a question?
Of course, jump straight in.
So I think it's really interesting what you say about colours. I completely resonate with that. So do you think that there's trends out there just now, how people are you know, how they're projecting themselves as their sort of trend. And I suppose the other bit that I wanted to ask you was, you said that you had 12 services and you reduced them to 3. Was that just to have a cleaner message, or did you kind of clean up the business to do that?
COVID did that. I had 12 services running into COVID lockdown, and at the time I was running around like a headless chicken trying to manage all this stuff, and having no work for 9 months, whatever it was, gave me the chance to actually sort of take a step back and look at it all. And I just thought, why am I doing all this? I didn't set out ever to do half this stuff. I only really started doing things that people asked me for them and I could do them. So I just said, right, we need a cull. And I originally went from 12 to 6. And then after a little while, 6 went to 4. And then this year, 4 has now gone to 3. Mm-hmm. And basically, it's me realizing that I really need to stick to my core strengths, which is design. You know, I'm a designer. I've been a designer my entire life. So the fact, I mean, that yes, I'm pretty damn good at copywriting and I'm pretty damn good at marketing, but I'm going to concentrate on design. And if I have to do copywriting and marketing as part of my projects, then fine. But I'm not going to advertise it as a separate service. What was the first part of the question? I can't remember.
So is there trends?
Trends.
I see lots of people kind of going for those muted tones now, which I find completely fascinating.
Well, the trend analysis is a huge industry actually, which I've never really dipped into too much. But well, at a small business level, a lot of graphic design is unfortunately completely dominated by Canva. And most businesses who use Canva will use Canva templates, not realizing that other businesses just down the road using the same Canva templates. So yes, you can be consistent, but you look consistently like somebody down the road. And so, as you probably expect from a graphic designer, I don't like Canva, but I do understand that it does a job for people. And most people haven't got the budget to pay a graphic designer, so they'll use Canva. So yeah, I understand that. But Canva templates kind of have a trend-setting sort of thing to them. You know, there'll be, once you see something used and you think, oh, I like that, I'll use that. And then that's how trends start, isn't it? I always say when I'm designing logos, try not to be trendy, because your logo will date much faster if you decide, oh, I love the muted tones or whatever it is this year. We'll do that, because you know, in 18 months it's like, oh, nobody likes muted tones anymore. They want to do something else. So the thing with the logo design, there's 5 things that a logo needs to do, and one of them is don't be trendy. Unless you're a fashion brand, then don't be trendy. Don't try not to be trendy. And that's kind of where my first logo fell down a little bit, because that was trendy 8 years ago. It isn't trendy anymore. So you know, I learned a lesson.